So I had the chance to check out all of Samsung's shiny new Galaxy S25 flagships, and I gotta say, I'm excited. We got the Galaxy S25 Ultra, which is the big deal here, starting at a hefty $1,300. Then there's the Galaxy S25 Plus chilling in the middle at $1,000, and then the base model, Galaxy S25 at $800. Yeah, they're pretty expensive, but honestly, the prices haven't budged at all from last year's lineup. Also, if you're thinking about picking one up for yourself, I'll drop some links in the description to each model so that you can pick one up and help support the channel as well. Appreciate it. Now, the first thing that caught my eye was the S25 Ultra's new design tweaks. It's still rocking a titanium build, that signature rectangular shape, the same button layout, and the 5-camera setup. But there are some subtle changes. The corners are rounded off now, the sides are completely flat, and the whole phone is slimmer and lighter. It's actually even way easier to hold when compared to last year's S24 Ultra. And even with the lighter build, Samsung kept the battery capacity at 5,000 mAh. I personally would have liked to see more battery capacity this time around, but it's not the end of the world. The same goes for the other two models. They're thinner and lighter, but still pack the same battery. Oh, and let's talk about colors for a second. The S25 Ultra comes in some pretty understated shades this time around. You got titanium black, gray, silver white, silver blue, and if you're ordering online, you can snag some exclusive colors like pink gold, jet black, and jade green. No yellow, violet, or orange anymore though, which is a bit of a bummer. Still, the whole lineup looks super clean and professional. Nothing too flashy, which I personally dig. And yup, the Ultra still comes with that trusty S Pen. It's the same as last year's too. Now for the Galaxy S25 and S25 Plus, they look pretty much identical to last year's model. Same triple camera setup, flat aluminum frame, rounded corners, and glass backs. They're just a bit thinner and lighter this time around, which is still nice. They've also got some interesting color options too. You've got a dark navy blue, icy blue, mint green, and coral red, along with classic black and silver. But like the Ultra, you don't get any orange or yellow options this time. Definitely a more muted vibe overall. Now on the front, all three phones are sticking with flat displays, which I'm all for. The Ultra screen has a slight upgrade too, bumping up from a 6.8-inch display to 6.9, with even smaller bezels too. The screen real estate feels more premium for sure. Plus, Samsung's using better glass protection this time with cornering Gorilla Armor 2. The claim it should be 29% tougher against cracks. Oh, and the anti-reflection coating is a little better now. You should now have no problem using the screen in direct sunlight too. There's also this cool new feature called Pro Scaler on the S25 models. Basically, it can upscale lower resolution content, like if you're scrolling through Instagram and come across a crappy photo, it'll try to improve the quality by making it look sharper, giving it better contrast and more details. I'm curious to see how well it works and if it's something we'll notice in other apps too. The S25 lineup also comes with Qualcomm's latest and greatest chipset, the Snapdragon 8 Elite. I've used it before on the OnePlus 13 and I've gotta say, this processor is a beast. Not only should it massively boost performance, but it's also way more efficient. That means smoother gaming, quicker multitasking, and even better on-device AI features, so you don't have to rely on the cloud as much. To top it off, all the S25 models now come with a bigger vapor chamber now to keep things cooler when you're pushing the phones to their limits. The Ultra gets the biggest upgrade with a vapor chamber that's 40% larger, while the S25 Plus and S25 get a 15% bump. They've also introduced this new tailored TIM thermal material that wraps around the chipset to pull heat away faster and send it to the vapor chamber more efficiently. Long story short, the phones should stay more cooler this time around, but I guess we'll wait and see for that for my full review. Now the real changes are found within the phone's software. Samsung once again focused a ton of their attention on AI. Take the Edge panel for example. What used to be Smart Select is now AI Select. Before, you could manually crop part of the screen, highlight text, or save stuff to your clipboard. But now it's way smarter. If you're watching a video, it'll automatically frame it for you to let you do different actions like turning it into a GIF. And if you're browsing a web page, it can summarize or translate it for you. Basically, it adapts to whatever you're looking at. Circle to search also got a nice upgrade. You could already circle text or images to search for them online, but now it works with sound too. So if you're watching a video on social media or even one you recorded at a concert, you can now use it to identify the song playing. No more Googling vague lyrics because someone didn't tag the track. Samsung's AI also got a lot more integrated with their apps. Native ones like Samsung Calendar, Clock, Settings, Notes, and Messages now work seamlessly with voice commands. Plus, it even extends to some third-party apps like Spotify and WhatsApp. For example, instead of hunting through a maze of settings, you can just ask the phone to do stuff. Like if your eyes are hurting from looking at the screen, you can just tell it that, and it'll bring up the option to enable dark mode or even enable like a light filter. Or in the Gallery app, you can say, show me pictures of sunsets, and it'll pull them up instantly. You can also throw more complex commands at it too. Let's say you're into sports, you can just ask it to find the next game for your favorite team, add it to your calendar, and it'll handle the whole process, from searching Google to updating your schedule. Or if you're researching for the next phone you want to get, like the Google Pixel 9, you can tell the AI to find recent reviews on YouTube, say the top 2 to Samsung Notes, and boom, you're all set for later. These are just a few examples that Samsung told me. I haven't actually tried these commands, but in my full review that I'll be releasing in a few weeks, I'll be sure to let you know how well they actually work, so make sure you get subscribed. My favorite feature that Samsung told me about though is that the S25 can learn your phone usage habits and even suggest routines based on what you usually do. For example, if you always turn on Do Not Disturb mode when you get to work, it might say, hey, want to turn this into a routine? One tap and it's done. It even ties into smart home products, so it's not just limited to the phone itself. Another neat addition is the Now Brief widget. Think of it like a proactive personal assistant. In the morning, it gives you a rundown like how you slept, what the weather's like, and any reminders for the day. If it's raining, it might suggest leaving for work earlier. Got a friend's birthday, it'll nudge you to wish them a happy birthday. At night, it flips the script and gives you a summary of your day. Photos you snapped, events you attended, and what's coming up. It's even smart enough to adjust your alarm if you have an early meeting the next day. Basically, it's like having an assistant right on your home screen. When it comes to payments, Samsung Wallet also got 2 big updates. First, there's Instant Installment, which is essentially their version of Buy Now and Pay Later. You can spread out payments for any purchase you make with a MasterCard or Visa, even offline too. And the second is that there's Tap to Transfer, a peer-to-peer payment system that works offline. You can send money to friends, no matter what digital wallet they use, directly from your credit card account. It sounds pretty convenient. And on the security front, Samsung made a few adjustments. They bumped up their certification from EAL 5 Plus to 6 Plus, which is military-grade security. They've also introduced post-quantum cryptography, which is supposed to future-proof your data against quantum computing threats in the future. So that one's pretty fancy. Plus, all your personal data is stored on device, and you can easily delete it if you want to as well. Now, if so far what I'm saying is enticing you and you're planning on picking up one of the Galaxy S25 models, you'll definitely want to keep it protected. And that's where SUPCASE, the sponsor of this video, comes in. They actually sent me a few of their top heavy-duty cases, and I gotta say, they're awesome. Let's start with my favorite, the UB Mag XT. It has a super strong body with raised bezels to protect the screen and rear cameras. And it's been drop tested for up to 15 feet, so protection and reliability is not a problem here. It's also fully MagSafe compatible, so you can snap on chargers or accessories without a hitch. And get this, it has a camera cover that doubles as a kickstand, which is clutch for watching videos hands-free. Then there's the UB Pro. This is the tank of phone cases. It's won CNET's Drop Test Award with an insane 20-foot drop protection. Plus, it comes with 2 front frames, one with a screen protector and one without, just in case you already have a screen protector of your own. It also comes with a belt clip holster to make the phone much more easily accessible and a kickstand to make it easier to watch content hands-free. This would be the perfect option if you're rough on your phone or work at a heavy-duty job like construction. And for a simpler option, you should check out the UB Grip. It has textured edges for a solid hold, it's transparent to let you see the phone, has a built-in ring that works as a kickstand or a holder, and handles drops up to 15 feet like a Pro. Honestly, all of these are solid picks, but that UB Mag XT is calling my name. I'll drop links down below so that you can check them out for yourself. Now back to the Galaxy S25 series. Now for the cameras, there are a few new fun things here, even if the core camera setup on the back hasn't changed much. The Galaxy S25 Ultra still rocks the 200 megapixel wide lens and the 50 megapixel telephoto lens, but here's the upgrade. The ultra wide lens got a serious boost, jumping from 10 megapixels all the way to 50. That means way sharper ultra-wide shots, and if you're into macro photography, those close-up details are about to get way crisper. And on top of that, thanks to the new Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, Samsung was able to add in some serious AI to the camera as well. So for example, when taking low light photography, there's this new feature called double analysis noise removal. And it basically just means that it will remove noise when taking nighttime shots. Samsung claims that it does this by using AI to identify any noisy pixels, and it even looks at the 8 surrounding pixels too. And from there, it cleans them up on the spot. It supports both photos and videos, which is crazy impressive considering the sheer number of pixels that are in a video. So it'll be interesting to see how well nighttime photography and videography work on the S25. On the topic of videos, they've also introduced a new AI feature called Spatial Temporal Filter that makes nighttime videography a whole lot better too. Basically, it knows what's stationary versus what's moving in the frame. So when you're shooting at night, you shouldn't get that annoying blur on people or vehicles in motion. Now again, I haven't tested that, but I am excited to. Plus, combine that with the default 10-bit video capture that it uses now, and the results should be a more vibrant dynamic range that just pops. Another big win for video creators is the new Pro Video mode, which now lets you shoot in log format. If you're into color grading or tweaking your footage during post-production, this is going to give you way more flexibility and control. And to top it off, there's also a new virtual aperture feature that uses AI to adjust depth and brightness on the fly, sort of like a DSLR. And Samsung didn't just stop there with their AI camera features. They've also added one called Audio Eraser, which is basically their take on the Pixel's Audio Magic Eraser feature. It analyzes the audio in your video, identifies different sound elements, and lets you tweak them independently. So if the wind's howling in the background or there's a loud band playing, but you want to focus on your voice, you can just adjust all of that with just a few taps. Alright, so that's everything you need to know about the Samsung Galaxy S25 lineup. Let's be real, it's not Samsung's biggest upgrade ever. The changes are more about refining what was already great, rather than blowing our minds with something completely new. Sure, the lighter and more rounded design, the new ultra-wide lens, and the upgraded processor are nice, but they're more tweaks than game changers. Most of the real effort this year seems to have gone into the software. Things like AI Select, smarter routines, and all those new camera processing features seem to be cool and useful, but if you were hoping for a massive leap forward, this might feel a little underwhelming. That said, there's still a lot to love. The Snapdragon 8 Elite is a beast, the nightography features sound amazing, and if you're into video editing, those pro video options are a dream. But when you look at the bigger picture, it feels more like Samsung is fine-tuning its formula rather than reinventing it. What do you think? Does the S25 have enough going for it to get your attention? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, tap this video right here to learn about One UI 7, the same software coming to the S25 series. And be sure to get subscribed so that you don't miss out on my future review of these phones. Thanks so much for sticking to the end, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Kapow!